will snap. Sanchez will hold. And the kick is no good. Denver's going to win. Denver's going to win.
Is there a penalty down in the middle of the field? Right by the center.
Oh, my goodness.
This might be a leaping situation on Denver, trying to go up and over to attempt to block the field goal. So the game is not over just yet. Hang on.
Personal foul. Leverage. Defense number 96. Oh, wow. A 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
15-yarder. Oh, boy.
Now it is a 45-yard field goal with no time left. This for the win. Spencer Schrader. It's good, and the Colts have won.
Sanchez to put it down. There's the snap. Kick is on its way. Headed for the uprights. And it is. It's good! A walk-off field goal. Spencer Schrader wins it for the Colts. Colts win 29-28. Ball game. I-N-D-Y.
The Ride with JMV. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
CBS had the call. The Colts Radio Network had the call. That was some entertaining stuff at the end of the game yesterday, was it not? I tell you, when you get a late afternoon game, it normally is fantastic in that building. That was great. And listen, we will break down exactly how ill-handled that final piece, that drive was. Just maintaining the fact that you're okay with giving your guy a go from 60. Spencer Schrader wasn't near hitting that, but like you look back to last year and Jonathan Taylor and the Shane Steichen ill-advised call on the A.D. Mitchell pass, if you remember that debacle. It's almost like it evened itself out. Go back to the first half. Or most of the game, according to a lot of you, and the calls. I thought there were just a ton of flags. Others felt that there were clearly not enough. I'll be honest with you. I don't mind if you're allowed to be a little bit more physical in the secondary than if you touch somebody, it's going to be a flag. I'm okay with that. I was okay with it yesterday. I got texts from everybody. Shout out to Speedway President Doug Bowles, who was livid over it too. He was livid over it basically at the same time Shane Steichen got penalized and was also livid over it. I don't mind. Now, I will say this. It works out a lot better, and everybody is feel good when your team ends up winning. And that's exactly what took place yesterday, the final 29-28, the Colts over the Broncos. Colts are now 2-0 on the season. 67% of NFL teams that start, and I don't at all feel uncomfortable in telling you this, that start 2-0 end up going to the postseason. And that's what you want. The Broncos messed it up a number of times late. How many different chances, if you're Denver, did you have that opportunity to go ahead and bury this thing, to be done with it? A couple of different drives. One drive ending in a turnover. That was the Cam Bynum interception, which, by the way, led to yet another outstanding celebration. Here's how I view Cam Bynum. And I don't know if there's any irony in this or not, but he did bang the anvil yesterday. I view Bynum in the same light as I do Obi Toppin. Both professional organizations, and you, the fans, we, the people here, are better off having those two dudes a part of both organizations. Now, granted, they can both play, but we're all better off for having them. They both seem like, as we have witnessed before, I don't even know if it seems, they both are incredibly good dudes. They're also good players. They fit this market, this fan base with the Pacers and with the Colts about as well as anybody does. So I don't know if there's irony there because Obi Toppin banged the anvil yesterday and was there. I am a sucker. And I will say this. I am a sucker for other professionals or other team members in a market that are actively rooting for the other squad, the other professional team in their market. Thus, I love me some Tyrese I love Tyrese Halliburton because the guy's balls out and goes at it in Game 7 and tears his Achilles. And he goes at it for everybody around him. That's the ultimate to me. I will always be a fan. I'm going to go out and buy these new pair of Pumas and see how comfortable these bad boys are. Because I like Tyrese. Tyrese Halliburton, again, is perfect for this market. But I thought Cam Bynum and Obi Toppin are perfect for you, the fans, for the Pacers and the Colts. And Bynum had another interception and a celebration in the end zone with the whole blue, the whole belly jiggling thing right there. I'm a sucker for a good celebration, too. I like the old school kind of fun bud celebrations, but don't get me wrong, I'm a sucker for a celebration. But more so than anything else, I am a sucker for a team that not only has been good so far, and at least through 2 weeks of the season, they have found a quarterback, but they have maybe found even more. If you've noticed, if you've witnessed. This whole quarterback search over the years, no matter who we're talking about, anybody that can fit. Everybody has had moments. Phillip Rivers, to me, people would argue Carson Wentz as well. But Phillip Rivers, to me, had the best fit at that position post Andrew Luck. He was already good. He was already established. He wasn't taking any crap. He knew what he was doing. But he was not the Phillip Rivers of years prior. And as it turned out, it was going to be a one-year comet, and that was it. But he did fit. Daniel Jones through 2 games, and mind you, it's also because you perform on the field, looks to be the fit that this team, this staff, this organization has been looking for. And it also took this. It also took the recognition and the understanding of putting guys around that one guy under center that can also make plays. We've always had these conversations about, hey, the wide receivers, they're not good enough. They don't have the depth. There's always been stinking something. And I'll get to the something and where that lies into the second week of the season in a moment, because obviously we spoke glowingly about the defense last week. In fact, in love with the defense last week, and probably not so much this week. But I think there's kind of an interesting dynamic at work there I'll get to in just a second. However, you get the pieces that are necessary in this case to help the quarterback, whereas in the past, it was always the quarterback trying to help the pieces. But I would argue that everything seems to be incredibly equal right now. And you get a little outside of the box play. I'll give you a great example. On the show last Thursday, we talked to Alec Pierce. You know, Alec Pierce talked about the Denver defense and the Denver defense being really good, and the comparisons made a year ago in December to what the expectation is coming up in week number 2. But we didn't talk at length about the adjustments that Alec Pierce is making. Everybody thought it was going to be a foregone conclusion that Alec Pierce was going to be done after this year, because with Daniel Jones under center, there's no reason to have somebody that each and every time is capable of taking the top off when the ball doesn't go down the field. But the ball goes down the field. I think when Daniel Jones plays, this is what I like as much as anything else about his play so far, is it's not just been the managerial dink and dunk, don't make a mistake. He's not afraid to go big. They're not afraid to utilize him to go big. And I have a great deal of admiration for that. Plus, you know how important it is to make these defenses guess. You had the reigning defensive player of the year in the secondary roaming around yesterday. There was no fear. And I would maintain through the first 2 weeks of the season, again, no matter what you think about Miami and their 0-2 start and on the verge of firing their head coach, or, what you think Denver may be overrated, none of that matters right here. What you're getting is really a dominant offensive performance through 2 weeks of the season. They've been dominant. And not to the tune of owning a team like Denver because they were lucky to win that game yesterday. But their dominance comes in exactly going up and down the field, basically dictating terms. They do that. When's the last time they did that? Do you recollect? The dictation of terms is what I'm talking about. They just go right down the field. Rigoberto Sanchez has been MIA for the first 2 weeks of this season. That's a good thing. Pay that guy not to come out there. I see him on the sidelines warming up into the net, and I'm thinking, man, I don't even know if you have to warm up right now. These guys are getting it done for you. They have been dominant. Not with eye-popping, incredible numbers, not like a slot machine, but dominant in terms of these two defenses so far can't get their ass up off the field. That's what you're looking for. Now, in week one, number one, it worked better because the defense was refreshing. It looked great. And then yesterday, it didn't. And I'm not going to put this or make excuses on injuries. You can look at it a couple of different ways. I'm still hoping that once guys get back, that means this defense is better. When I talked to Lance McAllister of Cincinnati on this show, he said a number of times how much he liked Lou Anarumo, but Lou Anarumo was oftentimes, when he was going through the not-so-great moments, working without a complete deck. And that's what we saw yesterday. I think it's a big deal that Charvarius Ward wasn't out there. I think it's a big deal that Ward wasn't out there. It's a big deal that Jones was out there. It's a bigger deal that Xavier Howard, for whatever reason, he met with the media a little bit earlier today. I do think we have sound of that. It was quick. If they were not as dinged up in the secondary as they are right now, man, I don't know how that dude has a gig. I don't want to see anybody lose their gig, but holy hell, 3? And it just came rapid fire back to back to back. And it was, I'm getting my ass whipped. I'm just going to reach out and grab somebody. That's what it came down to. It wasn't one of those, oh my goodness, the officials, they suck. It was I'm going to grab somebody no matter what happens here. It was a mess. And really their defense was a mess because you look at it up front, they couldn't stop the run. Denver got on the field wherever they wanted to, but I will give them credit. They became opportunistic when it was necessary late. Now, I don't want to see this become a habit because that's what we said about Gus Bradley and Matt Eberflus, and it drove us all insane, and rightly so. Well, they bend but don't break. I never want to have to hear about that again. I hope that my excuse, I guess, if you want to describe it as such, is that you don't have Latu, you don't have Ward in the secondary. That was a big difference. I don't know altogether if I believe that or not, because the linebacking and the lack of emphasis placed on that would lead you to believe if the work is not being done up front against the run, the teams are going to be able to exploit that. You know, the better teams, as we see going along, the more tape that's out there, you wonder how much more they're going to be able to emphasize trying to break down situations and utilize the lack of linebackers whatsoever the Colts have against them. That is a major concern. But I will say with Anarumo in Cincinnati, the reason why he got fired is because his defenses got worse over the years. When the defenses were better, when they, obviously played at their highest level, he had dudes. He was missing dudes yesterday. That's an excuse, and it's a lame excuse, I realize. I just don't want this to turn out to be, or us to go back to talking about week one. Remember, they were moving guys around. They were aggressive, and then yesterday they were taking an absolute beating. And then made a play late. And really, I think the biggest play in the game, you're going to say, well, Lutz missing that field goal was big, no question. You know, the whole leverage call, big. But that interception with Nix, they were ready, I thought, to put that thing away. And I think it was Grover Stewart that tipped the pass, tipped the arm, or at least he alligator armed it, did Nix. And Bynum stepped up and picked it off. That to me was the biggest moment of the game. Because who the hell knows where that thing is going outside of it. So we'll see what happens next week in Tennessee. And that's the great thing about starting 2-0 this season is you can start 3-0 by beating a Tennessee team that, it's funny, you look at this Tennessee squad and it at times has been eerily similar to the first couple of years and some moments with Anthony Richardson. A lot of incredibly uneven play at that position, and then one big eye popper where you go, oh, wow. And that's what you've seen with Cam Ward so far. A tremendous opportunity to go to 3-0, and then, hell, you make a trip to Southern California after that and see what happens against the LA Rams. And hopefully Charvarius Ward and Leatu Latu, I know as it seemed, Latu, it seemed like Friday and then into the weekend that it was going to be highly unlikely that he played. And that was, again, a part of it. I wasn't watching Cincinnati exclusively by any stretch, and I take a lot of the information I get from Lance and having him on the show, not having guys hurt Lou Anarumo. And they certainly didn't have a couple of significant dudes yesterday, but it was painful to watch them at times against the run. And it could have been a hell of a lot more painful had Stewart and Bynum, that combination, not made a late game play. And that is too all familiar to what you crossed your fingers and you hope for with Gus Bradley or Matt Eberflus. Hopefully that's not the case here. But it was tough to watch yesterday because that defense took a beating. And had it not been for that call, that flag, those officials that everybody out there hated so much in the early portions of the game, most of the game, in fact, had it not been for that late flag, which it was legit, I don't know what would be. Well, hell, I know what we'd argue today. You guys would be all pissed. But looking back on it, if you're going to have a leverage rule, that sure as hell looked like a leverage rule that was violated. Leverage. And it was, to me, what is funny, ironic, ridiculous about it is it was 100% unnecessary. So the Broncos in that situation blanked themselves for something that was because there was no way that thing had any chance of doing anything being good. Nothing. And then when you get a do-over here, your opportunity to do-over, you get to reset your sights. And then you moved it in 15 yards, which is what Shane should have been doing. Really, the officials, the leverage call, the officials, they did for Shane what Shane should have been doing for his team offensively instead of whatever that late game call package was right there. Holy hell. And I know that he suggested he wasn't, and I'm sure that he absolutely wasn't, but it sure as hell looked like that you were confident in your kicker, and I'm cool. 60, that's okay. We're right here. We're right here where it needs to be. It wasn't like you were just begging to get to that line of scrimmage for any opportunity whatsoever. You had plenty of time, 3 timeouts, and you could have utilized your playbook, but on the other hand, you're worried about what you're going to do if you do score and if Denver gets another opportunity. I mean, that to me is outthinking the room when it's unnecessary to outthink the room. But the good fortune is there. Do not, never, in fact, certainly do not look good fortune. And don't look at it as something that comes around all the time, because you know this to be true around here. It's a rarity with this football team. And you got hit with some yesterday because they were going to be deserving of that miss and to end up on that spot of the field on the short end of a Week 2 loss to the Denver Broncos. And the leverage call that would have made zero difference, none whatsoever. It did right there. All right, 239-1070. I know everybody's worried about the kickoff coverage. I'm just worried about, taking the stinking lead. That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about a kicker that has been really good so far, that most people don't even pronounce his last name accurately. I'm worried about just getting that done. Then you can worry about, stiffen that kick coverage or whatever afterwards. But damn. See, somebody else mentioned this too. Bill says, I thought Steichen not chasing points, going for 2-point conversion in the first half was huge. Hoped at that time we win by 1. It's funny, Tony Katz sent me that, Bill, during the game, and you look back on that, and that was a role player for real. It's a good point that you make. I just worried about them scoring. Or, worried about them getting in position to score. Here's the biggest worry they have right now. Actually, I'll tease that and come back. If you're 2-0 and you're feeling good and you have every right to feel fantastic right now, you tell me. The text line at 317-239-1070, or make the call at 239-1070, or at JMV 1070 on the social media platform X. You tell me what you believe to be the biggest issue with this team. And it wasn't Shane, and it wasn't the defense. It is the prolific offense. I'll tell you what I believe is the biggest issue right now. You can look at it from a couple of different angles, but I believe it to be true. You could tell me, we'll share the facts or the beliefs we have right here. The stream, the app, HD Radio, the AAA membership lounge via YouTube Live. You guys are outstanding on what is a glorious Monday in Central Indiana, and your favorite football team is 2-0. If I were them, I would, as much as possible, bring back Obi Toppin. Tell you what, Obi Toppin and Cam Bynum are equal to me in just how enjoyable they are as professional players and how necessary they are for the fan base and the teammates around them. I'm a big fan of both those dudes. And a shout out to Tyrese Halliburton as well, pumping up the crowd. That's awesome. Quick break, we'll come back. AAA membership lounge via YouTube Live, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
JMV.
And the beat goes on, yeah. And the beat goes on.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Indianapolis 1 for 3 so far on third down. This is manageable here. 3rd and 2 at the 46-yard line of their own territory. Under 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. It's Denver 7, Colts 6. Third drive of the game for the Colts. Jones goes out of the gun. Shotgun snap. Throws it right side. Caught Jonathan Taylor. Big run down the far sideline. 30. He's at the 20. Speed to burn. And Jonathan Taylor is ran out of bounds inside the Coca-Cola red zone at the 11-yard line of Denver.
Colts did a good job. They came in and they rubbed Singleton in that man-to-man coverage. He had to go over the pick, and he never made it.
Matt, Rick, Colts Radio Network, Colts a 29-28 winner. Spencer Schrader, the game winner, 45 yards out. Yeah, you don't play for a 60-yarder right there. I'm not going to get all pissy about it today because they won and there's no reason to. But I will allow you for a moment to think about, can you imagine if there was no leverage? Every time I think about that leverage call, I think about Dua Lipa and levitating. And there's really no comparison to be made there. That's weird. Leverage. Did there used to be a show on TV called Leverage? We rarely use the word leverage, do we? Except for, I guess, in this case, leverage.
It is not a very commonly used
leverage,
word.
Yeah.
There was a show, by the way, from December of 2008 to December of 2012.
Well, I did not know that. What network was this show on?
TNT.
Great. Leverage, everybody. Now, good for Spencer Schrader for hanging in, too. And good for Spencer Schrader having everybody calling him until yesterday on that made 45-yarder to win. Spencer Schrader. Shout out. Daniel Jones has been so good. He fits. So far, he has fit. I do. Seriously, after 2 weeks, if there were a 2-week, you guys ready for this? This is straight out of me right here. If there were a 2-week award for MVP, I think we would hand it to him. Seriously. Can you imagine, considering where this position has been? Oh, I know. I go back to me saying, you know what, if it's not going to be Richardson, just go ahead and reset it. I will say in the first 2 weeks of the season, this has been a hell of a lot more entertaining than what probably would have been a reset. You're right. James, do you have an award for 2 weeks in an NFL season? Is there an award out there?
There's the Player of the Week awards.
No, I just want to hand out a big
trophy.
Yeah, big trophy. Big award. Big plastic trophy like we all. Actually, you don't get trophies anymore now. You get those fake-ass rings. Everybody gets a ring. Hey, you get a ring.
If I was to give out a trophy, it'd probably be for best celebration, and that'd go to Cam Bynum.
I love Cam Bynum. You know how I can tell, too, because, G, my mom, loves her some Obi, as you know, and loves her some Cam Bynum. It's not lost on me.
You going to get her a Cam Bynum jersey?
I need to. Love it. She loves her some Cam Bynum and Obi. They are just perfect personalities. They're really good players. I don't want to take that away from them, but they're perfect personalities for this market. Fit great. Just like Daniel Jones, 23 of 34, 316. Oh, and Jonathan Taylor, by the way, $165 on the ground. He has been fantastic. Yesterday, too, the Colts do sidestep disaster, and I'm glad they did. Honestly, in the past, you know what would have occurred. There's no call made. They lose that game, and 3 hours of fire Shane Steichen. He's only a coordinator. He's not a head coach. That's exactly what we would be hearing today. Thank goodness it is not 317-239-1070. The text line is open. First off, this team is fun to watch. They seem prepared, which is refreshing. I always thought that at times they seemed, Bart, prepared in the past, but they just didn't execute. I think they execute now because we see, for the most part, a quarterback that is executing. If I had to pick a frustration, it's the red zone offense, and that's what I was going to talk about right here. You cannot continue to settle for threes. It's great, you score. It's great that Schrader's doing what he's doing, but you have to punch it in. That is going to cost you. That's the biggest issue across the board. Yesterday, we'll see. Yesterday, to me, maybe it is Lou Anarumo, maybe it is just a remnant of Cincinnati and why they felt compelled to get rid of him. But I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because two of the major players were not participating. We'll see. I'll probably pay for that in the end. And I do want to see him succeed. What I don't want is a similar description as I had been told various times this morning from our good friend Tony Katz on his morning show to others. Hey, at least they got that stop laid. Holy crap, that sounds like Gus Bradley, Matt Eberflus stuff, and I just can't go through that again. But no, Bart, you're right. Pumped about the start of the season. Thank you. JMV, thanks for the Colts for closing the roof and allowing the people to watch the game without the shadows. Yeah, but you know what? I'm going to end up having to mow for Mike Chappell because of this. What the hell? Who are you thanking for that? So now I got to mow property that's not mine because of this? No, I thought Touchdown Town, I thought the Bullseye Event Center was absolutely outstanding yesterday. Fun times. I will never understand why I couldn't buy a beer before 1 o'clock in Touchdown Town. I guess that's when they officially open, but I'm standing right there. I've got my money. Can I not buy a beer or something? What the hell? I need to loosen up a little bit. I'd had about 3 hours of sleep, played a little bit of hoop, did the JMV takeover. Nothing but the 90s. We know the decade of the 90s, a lot of angst-ridden music that I love. 3.5 hours or so of sleep. I come in there, all I need is a beer. So, hey, I know I could have gone to a tailgate and all of you would have provided me with a beer, but I wanted to pay for it myself. And, our machines don't turn on until 1. I'm thinking, what? Well, I'm standing right here at 12:45. What the hell? 239-1070. Our guy, formerly of Arizona, good friend Jonah, is up first today. Hello, Jonah.
Hey, John. How are you doing?
Jonah, I'm outstanding. Thank you for the call.
Awesome. Yeah, great win yesterday. I mean, we kind of got bailed out by a call, but I'll get to that in just a second. But you made a good point about Cannon Bynum's interception being the big play of the game.
Biggest one, yes.
Because if you remember, it was after the second time the Colts failed on fourth down.
Yeah.
And the first time the Colts failed on fourth down, they scored a touchdown. So after that second one, I'm like, okay, here we go again. Starting midfield, putting the defense.
Yep. A defense that had struggled. A defense that was struggling, too, by the way. A defense. And then, the first fourth down failure was a handoff to your rookie tight end. And then the second was a pass play. Yeah, Shane was not doing any benefit for his defense in those situations.
No. And losing Latu and Ward, I mean, those are big losses. And you really just saw it. There was no pressure on Bo Nix really yesterday. I know we didn't blitz a lot, and I think part of that is because Ward wasn't there and Howard was just getting burned. But I wanted to say something else. End of the game, I'm on the fire Shane Steichen train. I do critique him a lot, especially in situations that are gambles or like high magnitude plays. I feel like he just sometimes gets too cute and doesn't go with the team's strength on those types of plays. The last 5 plays or the 6 plays before we kicked the field goal, I believe we ran 5 out of 6 times, and Denver stacked the box several times. I'm thinking to myself, we got fast wide receivers that can go out on the edge or cross routes, and we got this guy, you may have heard of him, Tyler Warren, I think would be very
well, you hand the ball off. You hand the ball off to him, and you have a guy named Jonathan Taylor. So I think
Yeah,
a lot. This is what I have come to know over the years of talking about this sport around here. Is coaches, coordinators, what have you? You just get in a situation where you can't help yourself. And I do the same thing myself on a much smaller scale. You end up outthinking yourself because you're trying to outthink the room in this case. Whereas if you go with what Jonah and JMV and James and every other numbnut in the stadium would think should be the call right here, you get the first down more than likely and move forward. But you try to outthink the room, and it puts yourself in a situation. So I've come to know that and really expect that. That's not just a symptom of Indy or the Colts. I mean, really, it's in any sport. We all do that, and we all do it all the time. And he certainly did that yesterday, and he's done it in the past.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of being a fan. I mean, you just kind of, it's just like, hey, this didn't work, so we're going to criticize them for it. I'm glad it worked out in the end. Kicking a 60-yard field goal, I mean, so much can go wrong, as it did. It went wide right, but
I need to see this team had some good fortune, though, too, Jonah. I'm glad of that. I'm glad. I am glad in the end that it worked out, and this team had some luck, because it has been luckless, no pun intended, since that retirement. It was good to see a stroke of luck right here in this case.
Absolutely, especially with what's happened the last couple of years.
Exactly.
The bad luck kind of strikes us, but no, I mean, hopefully that's a microcosm of what we're going to see. And you said it as well. It's only 2 games in, but if Daniel Jones keeps playing the way he is, I mean, I don't see him not being a topic of MVP. Now, again, I don't think he's going to be, and way too far ahead to think that, but
we're allowed to do that on this show because I'm outside my mind most of the time, so it's okay.
Well, you know what? I'm right there with you, and it's a good place to be sometimes, especially when good luck goes your way.
Jonah, appreciate it, man. We'll see you out hopefully at a live show soon. Speaking of live shows, Thursday, Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots, and even as I lost that game, I did pick the Broncos. And, man, everybody was telling me, oh, you're so stupid. Yeah, I'm really stupid. Yeah, I know. How could I do that? Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots, Week 3, James. District Tap, Clearwater Crossing, north side. This is going to be like a double dip on the north and northeast side. Friday's Bud Light Blue Friday. What's the next home game? Is that Arizona? Can you look that up for me? I believe that to be true, correct? The next home game? I probably have it. You know what? I have the damn schedule right in front of me. Way to go, jackass. Las Vegas is the game. We'll have, I'm assuming, Raiders tickets. Speaking of which, the Raiders and the Chargers later on tonight, Buccaneers and the Texans. I love me a Monday night when you get a football double dip. You may say what you want about the lack of late afternoon games yesterday in Week 2, but you give us a Monday night double dip, I'm all for it. Quick break, we'll come back. If you're on hold, 239-1070 is that number, 317-239-1070. The text line is open at JMV 1070 on the social media platform X, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, and Stephen Holder after 5. Sit tight, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
It's Jim Perry. Now talk to him, damn it.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Second down and goal at the 1. Again, Jones under center. Takes the snap. Trying to put the ball across the goal line. There's the signal. Finally, touchdown. Daniel Jones with his third quarterback keeper for a touchdown in the early going of the season. And the Colts with their first touchdown of the afternoon today. They now lead 12-7.
Matt Taylor, voice of the Colts, on the call right there. Your first 2 weeks of the NFL season MVP is awarded by me, which means absolutely nothing, but I hand out an award. He's your MVP in the first 2 weeks of the season, Daniel Jones. I will say this. The quarterback play has been such a breath of fresh air. That's professionally done. That's how it feels. And nothing against Anthony Richardson at all, but that's how it feels. It's just a professional grade performance. Here's the other thing. Carly Ursay-Gordon has been on the sideline for a long time. She's trying to learn things. When you get hired for a job, have you ever had to follow those around you around and soak up their knowledge? Seemed like it was okay then, right? There's zero wrong with trying to learn what is going on around you and not just sitting up in your penthouse like it's Green Acres and cashing checks. I like it. I don't know what's wrong with it other than in this world, so many jackasses are among us that somebody has to have something wrong with it. She's working at it. Why would you not want that? I don't think she's out there calling plays. Well, Shane, I think you should go ahead and go with this off-tackle play. I don't think she's doing that, but she is trying to learn, trying to understand, and in fact, this has been going on for a while. Why in the holy hell would you have a problem with that? You ever have to learn from others around you? Especially those around you that you've entrusted in your family's organization, in your family's team? Somebody explain that to me. Other than this just jackass world that we live in right here. All right, I've got calls in the four. Should I be better off going to the calls in the 4 o'clock hour, or should I take one right here? We got somebody that's going to go not too long.
I think we could take a quick break and then take all the show.
All right, so
calls.
let the records reflect that everybody on hold right now will have to wait a little bit longer because producer James suggests we need to take a break. Buccaneers, Texans, game 1. Chargers, Raiders, game number 2. Seriously, does anybody else have an issue with it? And granted, the only place I see anybody respond to it is for that Dove Kleeman and the ML football, and these are jackass of the highest regard accounts. I realize that. But I felt compelled to respond. Hey, shout out to Kurt Mallory. And I know you didn't run up the score on Friday night. What else could you do? There was zero else you could do but score. Indiana State took a trip down 46, grabbed a check for $550,000, took an ass beating, and then went back to Terre Haute. I hate it for Kurt because I like Kurt a great deal. That sucks. They were awful. But like Dave Mason, the car dealer in the day around here used to say, old Indiana State needs the money. Win Schuler's spreadability back for 2025 in the football season right here. Tell me where you find the spreadability, the greatness of Win Schuler's today in your favorite grocer's refrigerator. Back with you next.
The Ride with JMV.
Ahoy, Ploy.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Rigoberto Sanchez will spot it in between the hash marks, right on the Colts helmet. This attempt for the win will be from 60 yards. Snap placement. Kick on the way. It's going to be short. No good. Penalty flag on the field. What is this call?
Sean Payton halfway out in the field.
This looks like it's going to be against Denver.
Personal foul, leverage, defense number 96.
Oh my gosh.
A 15-yard penalty.
Wow.
Automatic first down.
A lot of dead air here, James.
So they call Ioma Uwazurike for leverage, and now this will be spotted at the 35 in between the hash marks, an attempt of 45 yards. Snap placement, kick on the way, and the Colts win.
Broncos can't believe it. Nick Bonito just slammed his helmet on the ground. He's down there pounding his fist on the field.
That's a heartbreaker there.
Man.
.45-yard field goal with no time left after missing a 60-yard field goal. The Broncos, however, penalized for a leverage play inside. They called it on Ioma Uwazurike. And frankly, from the replay, I couldn't see what they called. And the Colts have won it by a final score of 29-28.
KOA, Broncos Radio. There's the other side of it right there. We heard the CBS with Kevin Harlan. And then obviously Matt Taylor, Rick Venturi on the Colts Radio Network. And that was KOA in Denver on the Broncos Radio with. There was like 25 seconds of just nothing being said right there.
I think they were dumbfounded with what they were watching.
What in the hell is happening right here? That was not outstanding in the Mile High City, but outstanding to listen to right there. 29-28 to final. Colts over the Broncos. Colts get the win. They're 2-0 in Tennessee. Nashville, the destination, coming up on week 3. We'll have it for you right here. By the way, I should mention, Varsity Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots coming up on Thursday. Brett Holverson and I'm assuming our good friend Michael is going to make the picks. District Tap, Northside, Clearwater Crossing on Thursday. You know, we have gear, too. Have you seen the gear? I sent that out in both X and Facebook form, which I think my Facebook connects to Instagram with all the other millennial dorks out there, too. I guess I have to be on Instagram. I hate Instagram. It's such a pain. It all is a pain, but Instagram just seems like a bigger pain to me. Right?
I hardly use
I think the
Instagram.
only thing that would be worse is like Snapchat. I think my daughter's on Snapchat, and I go, why are you on Snapchat? This sucks. But she's younger. She's 15, I guess. Instagram. I think my Facebook automatically goes to Instagram.
There is a way you can set it up that they will post
but then
on
it disappears like in how long? It's only up there for a while, and then it disappears. Weird. The hell, I don't know.
If you're doing stories, then they will disappear after a while. But if you're just doing a normal post, it'll be up there forever.
Instagram. Anyway, we have new gear. Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots. This is of the long sleeve variety. It is awesome looking. Shout out to Thomas and the gang upstairs for getting that done in promotions. And then Zinc with Bud Light Blue Fridays. We have the skinny me, no longer the fat picture of me here, like the one right there. We've got a skinny picture, and you can tell that I'm wearing a shirt that's way too big.
I do think we will be getting a new cover photo here soon.
Are we
for the
really?
show.
Wait a minute. Somebody told me yesterday, because people were pissed because I picked the Broncos and not the Colts, and somebody said I'm too worried about, quote, hair plugs and weight loss. Hair plugs and weight loss is what I'm worried about. I believe that's Chris. Chris Jackson is it. I'm just going to name you if you're going to send that crap to me. Chris Jackson is his name. I think Chris Jackson is short for Chris Jack Asson. Shout out to Chris for that comment. It did make me laugh. 29-28, Colts over the Broncos. Bud Light Blue Friday is at Twin Peaks in Castleton. We'll have Raiders and Colts tickets for you. Raiders, the second of a Monday night double dip. I cannot help myself. I love 2 games on Monday night. Buccaneers and the Texans, game 1 at 7. It's on ABC. Chargers and the Raiders at 10 o'clock, which means I'll have to push back watching Magnum P.I. until much later. And that will close out week number 2 of the NFL season. The Colts, the win. The text line is open at 317-239-1070. JMV, we would all love a shout-out every week, but though, or check that, I'm sorry. We would all love a shutout every week, but those guys get paid too. So it's always not easy. I will say this, though, Dave. The defense was pretty awful yesterday. The defense against a run. Denver made some mistakes, but Denver also, most of the time, got anywhere they wanted on the field. It was problematic. And it did take you back to the Eber-Bradley era, which I would like to forget. As for Shane, he needs to realize you can't play not to lose when you're behind. It's from Dave in Buffalo. Shout out to Dave in Buffalo. I just think Shane, like most of these guys, you're always trying to outmaneuver and outthink the room. And sometimes just the easy, anybody out there chugging 5 beers during the game would have the correct answer. Like the 4th down call and the handoff to your rookie tight end. I guess if you get the first down, it's genius. But if you don't, you're thinking, well, you know what? You got this guy named Jonathan Taylor. He's good at running the ball when you hand it to him. We're more talking about the late game situation, though. I was more concerned. I didn't give 2 craps about the clock. I was concerned about getting this guy that we don't know a lot about in any sort of makeable position for a game winner. Denver had set the table for you. Hey, take this game because we can't do anything right here late in the 4th. We're going to throw a pick when we could have taken full control of the game. We're going to hit the upright with a veteran kicker indoors. He looked like Judge Smales when he teed off in Caddyshack. He never slices, and man, boom, slice. You had all the options there, all the opportunities, and you just 3 timeouts. What do they talk about? Optionality, which is not really a word, but they've made it into a word, like schematic. The football world has made that into a word or a term. All these options, and that playing for the 60-yarder was not it. Problematic right there, I say. JMV Ward and Latu being out hurt us much more than I thought, and Xavier Howard got picked on all game. Every team is going to see that on film. That's from, who was that from, Jack? I'd like to suggest that the reason why the defense looked that way was not so much Lou Anarumo going back to the really bad stages of his time in Cincinnati, but Lou Anarumo being without players, because that's when things turned bad for him in Cincinnati, when he started losing his guys, the top-of-the-line players. I'd like to use that as an excuse. Hopefully that's the case, because it looked incredibly discombobulated yesterday. JMV, Spencer Schrader is him. I really thought we were cooked. I hate it when people use the term cooked, but I'll use it right there. I don't like cooked. JMV, two things. Rigoberto Sanchez is having a heck of a season. He is, man. Seriously, I think Rigoberto Sanchez is having the greatest season a punter has ever had in the history of the NFL through the first 2 weeks. That'd be great. You imagine just, I'm going to stand over here and, yeah, whatever. Not go out. Second thing is the city of Avon named a road after Daniel Jones. Look it up. Dan Jones Road. That's true. Daniel Jones has been so good, Avon felt compelled to name a road after him. True story. All right, 239-1070. JMV, if we score touchdowns when they're in the red zone instead of field goals, we're going to be fine. That is the biggest problem with this team right now. Make no mistake about it. You have to look for the issues. You have to be constructive in criticism, and I think that is the most constructive right there. That you cannot get to the red zone and get bogged down. You have to score touchdowns. Somebody will get you. That is true. Mike is in Brooklyn, New York. He will lead in this 4 o'clock hour at 239-1070. Mike, hello.
JMV, what's up?
Mike, how are you, buddy?
All right. Yeah, listen, my assessment is, the bottom line is, I like Shane Steichen, but the brilliance of Shane Steichen, the offensive coordinator, and he has been brilliant. I have no questions about it, but he is being sabotaged by Shane Steichen, the head coach. Shane Steichen, the head coach, lost that game yesterday. They got bailed out and they won, but he lost that game, and they have to address it. They can't just sweep this under the rug and dismiss it because they won. I don't know if it's Ballard or Carly or whoever, because we dealt with this with Frank Reich for however the hell long he was there, 4 or 5 years, completely mismanaging situations, can't evaluate the situation. I mean, that at the end of the game, I mean, come on, you have to play. You have to take that little bit of extra risk to get another 10, 15 yards. Somebody has to be telling you, we need at least another 10 yards to get into makeable field goal range. You can't count on
I will say this. I don't understand taking into consequence the clock more than making sure you get a very incredibly untested kicker in any sort of makeable position right there. That's what was shocking to me.
Absolutely. I mean, and you had 2 minutes. You had the Broncos had no timeouts. You had 3 timeouts. You had complete control of the clock. The bigger issue to me is with the same thing with Frank Reich. These 4th downs. It's easy to assess to evaluate this. The 4th down that he keeps on going for, it's risk versus reward. It's common sense, and the result is irrelevant. Last week he went for it 3 times. He made it against the Dolphins 3 times, and he shouldn't have gone for it any time because you had a 17, 23, and 26-point lead. You should not be going for 4th down. Your defense had complete control of the game. The only thing that could have gotten the Dolphins back in that game was doing just that, giving them a short field, and they hit a big play, and now you're in a dogfight. Yesterday against the Broncos, what did Sean Payton do? He punted the ball. You're going for it on 4th down. What's the upside? If you make it, you get another set of downs. And okay, great. You could go down and score. Great. It's a 1-score game. It's not going to decide the game. If you could also just as easily not get a yard, and you would have to punt and not get any points anyway. The downside of it is you're putting your defense in a bad spot by giving the Broncos the ball right there at midfield.
You did twice, and you did it twice too, and you knew you were without 2 of your major players, and that is outthinking yourself. Some would suggest that is just a side of coaching that maybe he does not have right now, because you're more offensive focused and offensive minded than understanding what you're dealing with on the other side there, Mike.
Yeah, well, he's not alone. Nowadays, this is going on, but I would say all these guys with these analytical geeks giving him all this data, okay, you haven't invented a better mousetrap yet. You haven't reinvented football. If it was Vince Lombardi, Bill Walsh, Chuck Noll, Jimmy Johnson, Bill Parcells, and you can name a bunch of guys who would have come up with this a long time ago because they understood the value of not leaving points on the field and field position.
I completely get you with the whole analytics argument right there, too. It will when you let that consume you, oftentimes that's going to get you beat. I completely agree with that.
Yes, don't lose the game. You should make a T-shirt up. Don't lose the game, Shane. I mean, Bill Parcells said in the NFC Championship game against the Redskins in 1986, they won that game because of field position, because Phil McConkey could catch punts, and he was getting that. It was a windy day, and he was catching punts, and he said there was about 150 yards of yardage that we got. That's Shane gave up at least 80, 90 yards just by going for it and not making it. Of offense that the Broncos didn't have to get. And Riggo is a good situational punter. He could let Riggo play. That's complimentary football. Get him pinned down and say, hey, let our defense go and play. You got him pinned. Now the defense could be more aggressive. And Riggo is a good punter. So I don't understand it. They have to address it. He has to stop doing this. It's going to be Frank Reich all over again.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know who's going to address that. I don't think it would be addressed. I don't think that's going to be brought up. You mentioned a little bit earlier that you can't sweep this under the rug. Yeah, I think because it's much like how I've hosted this show today. Because you're euphoric because you're 2-0 and you won and you're going to look past it. I don't think that's going to be addressed at all because there were no consequences to it because they got that do-over opportunity and cashed in on it.
Well, all I know is as far as Carly goes, I have no problem with it either because if that was my team, I'd probably be doing the same thing that she would be doing. I think that's smart. Yeah. And if I was her, I would definitely go into his office and say, Shane, what are you doing? What are we doing here? Why are we going for it on these 4th downs all the time? You can't go for it every time. I mean, look at the situation in the Jacksonville game. Liam Cohen correctly identified the situation. He had a 4th and goal at the Bengals 5-yard line. And if he makes it, game over. He's up by 3. If you kick the field goal, you're up by 6. The Bengals still have to drive to score a touchdown to win the game. Okay, a field goal would tie it, but now you'd be giving them the ball at the 5-yard line, and Joe Burrow is not in the game. So anybody giving Liam Cohen, I was like, this guy he's correctly assessed the situation. You're going to get it. Browning went down and took him to a touchdown. And it worked out, but that's on the defense. That you tip your cap and you say, "Hey, we didn't get it done.
Hey,
Mike, but if you make it."
Since you're going off on this, I do have an interesting question for you. You think this Colts team is actually good enough right now to where you're more concerned about the coaching calls and the coaching it up than you are about the lack of execution and the playmaking ability of the guys on the field? Because it used to be, it used to be the other side. Now it seems like that pendulum, so-called pendulum, has kind of swung the other direction here.
Yeah, that's the paradox here because they have completely validated the Daniel Jones. I mean, this is the guy they chose, and they are completely right. I mean, it's only 2 games, but he is in complete command of the offense. And I've said it. This team has weapons. This offense has weaponry. I mean, you got JT, you got the receiver. They have no problem. They have an offensive line. So I'm not worried about that as much as I am about just play the game straight up. Don't lose the game. Ballard actually, I mean, I've never totally disliked Ballard. I thought he was going to be everything Jim Irsay said he was going to be. I like his approach. I think he's too much into that, RAS score stuff. But he's found talent now. You got to, and Steichen as an offensive coach, absolutely no issues with him at all. He's one of the most respected guys, probably one of the top guys in the league.
And you can make the argument that he's the reason behind because he's done it with Herbert before, and obviously he's working Philly. I mean, he's done it before, so you can see Daniel Jones responding well at a higher level with him. But it's all the other coaching stuff that you find in question here. And I think that's valid. That's valid.
I think Kevin O'Connell actually. I think him and Steichen have a good relationship, and I think Kevin O'Connell pretty much told him, "Hey, let's this guy." That's why Kevin O'Connell wanted him for the Vikings last year, and they made the right choice. I mean, I've watched Daniel Jones here for 4 or 5 years. I had no belief in him doing even what he's done already. So I think that they can grow as a team, as an offense. And I like Shane Steichen. I just want you to grow and stop making low percentage decisions that could cost you the game. We went through that with Frank Reich week after week, year after year. Then he sits in front of the press conference with pouting, oh, yeah, I need to do a better job. I need to do a better job. And the next week he goes out and does exactly the same thing.
Yeah, it really is a video game mentality from a guy that probably doesn't play video games. You know what I mean? It's weird how that is. It is. Hey, I'm just sitting here with a bunch of other nerds, and I'm going to go for it. Seriously, I mentioned this with Jake and the crossover, Mike, in closing here. Had it not been for that Leverage call, people would have been calling for the job of Shane Steichen today if this team is 1-1. That's the truth of the matter.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have because I just want it. It's just get it corrected. Get it corrected. He keeps on saying we got to clean things up. They said they worked on situational football in training camp with the team. Well, Shane, you need to work on situational football yourself and assessing these situations, or get somebody in there who can keep the big picture in mind because you're so focused on the minutia, the tactical part of, hey, we got to get this play, that play. You're not. Yeah, it seems like you said it. The boat seems like it's swamped sometimes, and it was definitely the case with Frank Reich. I mean, he was completely clueless, as to game situations. He was just, he would just say, "Oh, just go for it." Frank Reich never meant a fourth down. He didn't want to go for it, and he's doing the same thing with his buddy out there, the quitter in Stanford. So the two of them belong with each other.
Mike, you just got a great compliment. Greg says you may be the best caller this show has ever had.
All right, well, I'll take it.
There's no award for that, much like there's no award for league MVP after 2 weeks. But, yeah,
it's just saying it is a reward enough because you're like my therapist. I can get all this out that I have pent up on me. Now I can just I have a little stress-free week until next Sunday. Hopefully, we got a big division game, and I am all in. Win for Jim. So.
You got it. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. It's Mike in Brooklyn, New York. We'll come back, respond to that on the other side. We've got a Colts Daily Update. I've got more to come, and Stephen Holder after 5. Sit tight. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
First and 10 to the 35-yard line. Colts in their own territory. Back in the throw again is Jones. Plants, going to take a shot downfield to Alec Pierce. The ball is hanging up, and he's got it, and a flag to boot. Alec Pierce with a 50-50 ball to the Denver 21-yard line.
Matt Taylor, voice of the Colts right there. Mike in Brooklyn getting the accolades from everybody with that call. Everybody wants him to come on here. He comes on here every Monday anyway. But, yeah, a regular segment for Mike in Brooklyn. JMV, maybe Shane Steichen wanted to make sure he set the NFL record for no punts through the first 2 weeks. The Colts now have that record. Mike, JMV, Mike in Brooklyn, being the best caller on the JMV show, is like the most handsome guy at Gen Con. Just kidding. Mike, keep it up. Dean and Broad Ripple. JMV, Bullseye Tailgate, fantastic yesterday. My buddy and I enjoyed it. Food, top notch. Everything was great. Adam in Whitestown. Adam, we're glad you enjoyed it. Great time to be had by all yesterday. BullseyeEventGroup.com and the Colts VIP Tailgate. Man, I tell you, yes, I love late afternoon games. Yesterday was great. JMV, this guy talks too much. JMV, did McCaffrey jump in the what? McCaffrey jump in the canal in the first 2 weeks. Josh in Mooresville. It was not McCaffrey that jumped in the canal. Thank you. JMV, loved the Colts win, but the play calling on that final drive was deplorable by Shane. JMV, Mike from New York is 100% right. JMV, also Schrader has been great at kicking field goals, but he's been terrible at placing kickoffs. Let Rigo do some of that. There's some of the responses right there, 317-239-1070. That is the text line. And your calls coming up too. 616 to 631. 5 TDs to 4 TDs. 0 interceptions and 0 interceptions. Completion percentage, 71.4% compared to 66.2%. Passer ratings, 111-1, 98-4. James, would you like to guess the quarterback comparison through 2 weeks I just made? Stats-wise.
Well, it's Daniel Jones, presumably.
Daniel Jones is number one because I just handed out the MVP award to him through 2 weeks.
2. Oh, that's a good question. It would be. It's someone that's playing right now, right?
Correct,
yes. Okay. Would it be Jalen Hurts?
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen.
Category of yards. He has 15 more in passing, and that's it. Otherwise, Daniel Jones has been better than the reigning MVP. Just out of curiosity, through the first 2 weeks of the season, there's a reason why this show and the host of this show has handed out the MVP award to Daniel Jones through 2 weeks. Skivvy says, Big Mike slipped in the quitter out there in Stanford. Lou T says, make Mike a regular on Monday. I think Mike's a regular on Monday anyway. Eddie in Silverdale, Washington, great call. Andrew says, get this guy on weekly. This guy is for sure on weekly. All right, Kenny's at 239-1070. Kenny, you have phone. Go ahead.
How we doing, Johnny? I just was going to answer any questions if you were still trying to figure out why they didn't let Richardson start over Jones. If you have any questions, I can fill you in, my dude.
Fill us in then, Kenny.
Well, his completion rate is through the ceiling. They really were having a competition. It wasn't a joke. And as we thought, Richardson still sucks.
I don't think there was a competition. I think I was right about that. I just don't think there was a competition because there was no way in the world Richardson was going to start. So I think that. So
I got you. Well,
now completion percentage, and thank you, Kenny, for the call. 71.4% for Daniel Jones through the first 2 weeks of the season. Passer rating 11.1. Seriously, that is enough to give yourself a JMV show sports arousal. And you can hang the clothing on that bad boy for the county if you want. I don't care if it is just 2 weeks. You know how long you've been waiting for that type of quarterback play? How long has it been? Do you even recollect? I just sent this out. So Mike in Brooklyn brings up a great question. And I know that everybody's going to concentrate on the leverage call and what really saved Shane Steichen's ass. It did. It saved his ass. But Mike also brought up the point that he believes that Shane gambles too much on fourth down. True? Untrue? I'm going to send that out right now on Facebook and X, and you can answer that if you like by whatever means necessary. I mean, we have a variety of ways. Adam's up next on line 3. Adam, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, happy Victory Monday there, John. How
You got it, Adam. What's up, buddy?
I got a few things. As you know, I was there as well as you was. I mean, that place was erupting, and I'm pretty sure that I can pretty much bet and say what you did. Sports arousal is a thing now down in Indy and all around Indiana. You know, it's cool to see Obi Toppin in there. It's cool to see
shout out to Obi
Halliburton in there. I also want to shout out my guy Alec Pierce. Shout out Josh Downs. Shout out Tyler Warren. So I think the whole fourth down thing of what we've all been hearing about today, maybe this is like a wake-up call because we played up against the washed-up, you know, the wannabe team that's in a rebuild session right now is Miami, to a stronger team in Denver. So maybe this is like a wake-up, hey, we can't keep doing this to Tyler Warren, even though he's a big body, but give it to JT. I mean, he's known for doing these things. He can do it. I mean, even the backup to him is good. DJ Giddens, he's also good as well.
Adam, my man, it's good to hear from you, pal. Anything else?
Hey, I was going to ask you something.
Yes.
I know you're on this great journey, like the weight loss thing and all that, and you know I'm a runner. So every time that I'm there, or if I can go to like one of your live shows, if I get the time off of work, I was wondering if I can bring in one of my my sport logoed running shirts for you, and maybe you can sport it on the show one of these days.
I will. Yeah, bring me that medium so I can suck tight my sculpted chin. Now, bring me a medium and I'll rock it, man. You know that. Absolutely.
All right, will do, brother.
Adam, anytime. Thank you. Oh, yeah, I'll wear your shirt. If you guys got a logo, I'll wear it. Although people will get pissed around here if it's advertising something, so I'll wear it otherwise. Hell, I'll wear it. What do you mean? Do what I want. JMV, I'm an old man living on Social Security, check to check. I made my first online bet ever, which I could not afford. I bet $300 early in the week and got 2.5 points on the Colts. So on the last drive of the Colts game, I was screaming at the TV, run the clock out. That's why Coach did what he did. Go. So, think that's true?
That's why Shane Steichen decided to get super conservative, because he wanted this guy to hit on his bet.
I think so, yeah.
That's a likely story.
Let me read that again. I'm an old man living on Social Security, check to check. I made my first online bet ever, which I could not afford. I bet $300 early in the week and got 2.5 points on the Colts. So on that last drive of the Colts game, I was screaming at the TV, run the clock out. That's why Coach did what he did. Go, Coach. I think he's suggesting that's why he was trying to do what he did. You believe that?
I don't know if
True
I buy
or
into
false?
that, but
people can say whatever they want right here on this text line. 317-239-1070.
I will say going in on a bet for $300 and you can't afford it may not be the wisest choice, but
yeah. I'm not a big fan of betting. I'm not a big fan of losing. I think losing sucks.
I don't think I've ever placed a sports bet in my life.
Because you make that money, you work hard at it, brothers. Colts on the road in Nashville coming up on Sunday. Titans 0-2 on the season. Cam Ward 19 of 33, a $175 and a TD. The TD was outstanding, but man, he looks a lot like you'll get the occasional highlight like you did with Richardson here, and the rest of it is kind of a mess at times. Colts can take advantage. 33-19, the Rams over the Titans. Those are actually the next two games on the road in Nashville this Sunday. The Sunday after that on the road in Southern California against the Rams. Just so you know. JMV, Steichen doesn't go for it too much on fourth down. However, the plays he runs, you and I could stop. He needs to be more creative on fourth down. See, I would disagree with that. I don't think you need to be that creative. You got Jonathan Taylor. Why are you running your tight end? Who gives a crap about that? Jonathan Taylor's, last I checked, really good. You don't need to outthink the room sometimes. You don't have to act like you're the smartest dude in the room sometimes. And I'm sure that you are. Quick break. We shall return. If you're on hold, I'll get to you. Stephen Holder coming up after 5 o'clock. Later on this week, we have road shows for you and a double dip on Monday Night Football tonight. We'll get to that and a lot more. And the Fever, they are down to their final opportunity. Got to get a win coming up tomorrow night. Fever lose to the Dream of Atlanta yesterday in that first game of the postseason. That and more coming up. Don't go anywhere. The Stream, the app, HD Radio, the AAA Membership Lounge. Become a AAA member today. AAA.com. Do that now. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. Now go away.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
11:40 and moving here in the fourth quarter. Crowd making a lot of noise on 3rd and 3. Nick's out of the gun, has a running back left. That's Bidet. Backs to throw. The second-year quarterback has time. Walks it downfield, and it is an overthrow, and it's intercepted by Cam Bynum. The Colts have it. It's a takeaway, and the defense gives up no points. They've got the ball back. 11:25 to go in the fourth quarter. The Colts remain only down by 5 with a great play by the defense. Interception by Cam Bynum.
Matt Taylor on the call, Colts Radio Network. Look at Cam Bynum as a great fit for the professional team in this town, this community, like I do Obi with the Pacers. And the irony was Obi hit the anvil yesterday. Just outstanding on the field and off, and dudes that you want to be a part of your team. The irony, they were there together yesterday at Obi. Between Obi and then Tyrese Halliburton, absolutely love. Gets into it with the crowd on the video. That's great. Love it. I love it. I am a sucker when the other teams cheer for example, the other team in their market. Love it. Sucker for it every time. 317-239-1070 is the text line number. JMV, congrats on the weight loss. Thank you very much. Originally from Indy, spent the last 2 years in Nashville, Tennessee. To your point, when the Colts signed Jones, it was obvious he was going to be the starter with the kind of money they paid. Glad you're still on the air. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. I am still on the air. I was trying to figure this out. I think it was Dorothy that asked me a little bit earlier on X if there's going to be a bullseye. There have been in the past bullseye parties in Nashville. I will direct that question to Kyle Kinnett and see if we can't send some people down there this way. Well, I should say this. If you're going down there this weekend, you can take part in that party. JMV, Graham from Avon here. I think we're all on the same page collectively on Steichen's conservative nature on the last drive, but in the hands of the guy that you trust to make a play instead of the 60-yarder from a kicker that hasn't made one from 55 or more. He's got to be better in those situations. Graham, you are 100% right about that. 100% right. All right, James, do I need a break here? Is that what you're saying? One more quick mention here. Can I do that? Oh, yeah, I got that too. JMV, I was watching the broadcast yesterday at the end of the game. The camera flipped over to Carly Ursay-Gordon, and I thought I saw what seemed to be her making a slight gesture after hearing what the play call was. What we don't know if she heard what the play call. It could have been anything. I think the point is people are suggesting she shouldn't be there, making fun of her being there. She's been there for a long time, and she's trying to learn things. I see zero wrong with that. Thank you, Murph. Just like zero wrong with you finding and telling us all where we can obtain the spreadability. Win Schuler Spreadability, original sharp cheddar, bacon and cheddar, and jalapeno pepper. Back for 2025 and your tailgate, your late summer, early fall parties. Make sure Win Schuler is on the spread with the spreadability. And when you find it, make sure we know where it's located, like the Meyer and Avon evidently has the spreadability of Win Schuler's. Find it in your favorite grocer's refrigerator today.
He looks like Rascal Flatts guy.
Got a cool soul patch.
He does, and a buttery smooth voice.
Oh, yeah.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Colts break the huddle now. They're at the line of scrimmage. Jones goes out of the gun. Josh Downs in motion now from left to right formationally. Jones to Taylor. Gets out of one tackle in the backfield. Positive gain. He's at the 30, 35, 40. It's a foot race. 50, 40. Down the near sideline. He's at the 20, 15, and pushed out of bounds inside the red zone. Jonathan Taylor with a huge gallop, and the crowd roars in appreciation. Taylor pushed out of bounds at the 12-yard line of Denver.
Matt Taylor, voice of the Colts right there. The Colts are 2-0. 67% of those that start 2-0 make the postseason. Daniel Jones is league MVP for the first 2 weeks of the NFL campaign. There's no official award for that, but damn it, I'm going to hand it out on this show today, and there's not a thing anybody can do about it. Put that in your smipe and poke it. Evidently, Dorothy, there is no party in the Nash this weekend. I'll explain a little bit further. B. Bensley of Fox 59. He is just a great dude, by the way. You're supposed to only bet on the winners when gambling. That's a true story. Eddie in Silverdale, Washington. Last year you said it's over, related to Anthony Richardson. You were right about that. Go Colts, damn it. Brian says, when will Lindsay and Gina be the co-host of the JMV Takeover? They're both always out on dates on Saturday night, so they're not going to jack with the JMV Takeover. Now, Lindsay made an appearance on the show on Thursday at the Ale up in Fishers. Gina is doing anchor work on Wish TV Channel 8, so nobody can see her in the afternoon. So one of these days, she'll probably rejoin. I'm glad that Gina has a gig, though. But know this to be true, if she gets jacked with, somebody's going to pay the penalty over there. Because you know this, nobody jacks with the girls, Lindsay and Gina. We know that. But we'll try to get them both out together, Brian. I just know that they've got much better things to do than to be in studio with me on a Saturday night. Robbie says this, so I just got into the truck. Have we already discussed the atrocious play calling and clock management prior to the failed 60-yarder from Robbie B? We have. We'll get back to it. If you're on hold, I'll get to you at 239-1070. Road shows later on this week. I'll tell you where we're going to be, too, and how you can join. And we have new gear to give away, too. So feel compelled to join us. But on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline from ESPN, ESPN.com. Saw him in the press box on Sunday. Stephen Holder joins us. So I did see a little bit of that presser a little bit earlier today. Shane did address the play calling and specifically leading to that 60-yarder and ultimately being saved by the whole leverage penalty. I guess the euphoria of being 2-0 outweighs the fact that some people were concerned about that issue, certainly still into today.
Yeah, but I would also say I think Shane was either aware or was made aware that there was an uproar about it, or at least a lot of conversation. And he opened his press conference with that today. Before even being asked, he opened and said that I went through it, and actually I agree with you guys because of course we're really smart, us guys with the pens. And he said that we had 3 timeouts and we could have managed the clock better. And he said we probably should have thrown on 2nd or 3rd down. To which I said, I tried to tell you, you didn't want to listen. But anyhow, I would say this is the one thing where I'm not going to be negative for the most part. But I understand. But I do think this has to be addressed because Shane does have these tendencies to do these sort of surprising things in very critical moments, and there's going to come a time when it costs him a big game if he continues to do that. He got bailed out. There's no question about it, 1,000%. And I think the decision making in that instance almost cost them a game in which they played great in so many ways. That would have been a devastating loss, right? To have lost in that fashion.
The fan base would be calling for him to be dismissed today had they lost that game.
I'm telling you,
Yes.
I don't think people appreciate how devastating of a loss that would have been. They did everything else except do the right thing at the last moment when it mattered most. And it was 100% on Shane. So, look, I will balance that by saying he called a fantastic game. Fantastic game. But him as a play caller versus him as a game manager, those are two different roles, and he's got to get up to par on the other one.
Man, he's got a lot to learn as a coach here. Would they be better off if somebody else dealt with all that other stuff and he just concentrated on the offense? Do you think they would be that much better?
Well,
because sometimes I do.
You have game management people on your staff that are supposed to help you in these instances, but I don't think that's what this was.
But they're not making decisions like that, though.
No, they're not making the decision. They're giving you the information. Like, hey, if we do this, here's the odds of success, et cetera, right? I mean, we talked about this a lot during the Frank Reich era, right? And people always talk about, oh, we don't care about analytics. Well, actually, you do in a situation like this, because the analytics should tell you right off the bat, all right, 60-yard field goal, bad idea. Okay? Like, the analytics, the numbers don't lie, man, all right? We know what the success rate is for 60-yard field goals. It's pretty freaking bad. So if you have time and you have the upper hand and you have a first down, you are in control. I think he got a little gun shy there. And again, look, if they're gonna be a good team this year, then they're gonna be playing big games. So you have to make good decisions in these consequential situations. I'm not bashing Shane Steichen. I think he's doing a great job so far this year, but that we can't give him a pass on this. We just can't.
So, Stephen Holder of ESPN, ESPN.com on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. And this is exactly how it's going to sound, but I'll bring up part two of what about Shane on Sunday, even though this team is 2-0 and won on the final play with that kick. Does he go for it too much on fourth down, considering how the defense was playing yesterday, and then when you factor in the play calling on those fourth downs, giving up short field circumstances when it was unnecessary, knowing that your two top defensive players were not out there on the field? Should that be considered much like we're considering not going for it and getting closer in the fashion in which he did not leading up to that final field goal?
I think that's a fair question to be asked. I would say my issue was more so, I think, with the last fourth down they went for. I think that was early fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember, but it feels like it was. Anyhow, I believe that's the one. Was that the one where Tyler Warren got stuffed? I want to say, was that the fourth down?
Well, that was one, and then there was a pass play call on fourth down, and I think the pass play, did it not get bailed out by the overthrow, which I think the arm got tipped by Grover Stewart and Bynum had the pick, but the whole call on Tyler Warren running the football with Jonathan Taylor out there, which is just ridiculous to me.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
here's my issue with that play. Here's my issue with that play. It's not the going for it, although you could question that too, for sure. That's a fair conversation. But I think your offense was playing great, right? You're kind of lean on what you were doing well that day, which is moving the football. So in theory, I don't have a huge problem with going for it. But I think the play was a slow developing play for me. You have Jonathan Taylor crossing the quarterback, and then Tyler Warren coming from the other side, and then getting the handoff. And I just feel like you need something quick hitting and bang, bang. And that wasn't bang, bang to me. I don't know if it was executed perfectly. It looked a little bit herky-jerky there. I'm not sure. So I don't know how it's supposed to look, but maybe there was a little bit of execution that was slightly off. That is possible. But whatever the case, I thought that play was not sort of bang, bang enough for the situation. And I might have tried something else. But, I mean, I get it. Going for it, I can defend that because their offense is going bonkers right now, right? But it's how you get that first down. with all the weapons that they have a lot of options, and I just didn't love that option.
The show league MVP award is going to Daniel Jones. First 2 weeks of the season, 616, 5 TDs, and a passer rating of 111.1 with 0 interceptions. I don't think we can properly state just how blankety-blank good this guy has been in 2 weeks here.
Man, listen, the world is all upside down right now, man. I don't even know what's happening. He's unbelievable. Okay, here's the thing. He was good against Miami, but I'm going to be honest with you. I don't give a damn about that game. The Dolphins suck. The guys were wide open. I was very careful last week to be like, hey, that was good, okay? But, let's be real, okay? That team is a complete catastrophe on the other side. They covered nobody. They didn't pressure the quarterback. It was like touch football, right? So I'm coming into week 2, and I'm like, all right, now you got to do it again. Let's see if he can do it again. And he not only did it again, he was better. He was even better. And I'm going to tell you why this game from Daniel Jones, this one carries weight. And the reason for this is not just because the Broncos have a good defense. They do, but I think it's how they played and the circumstances under which Daniel Jones played. Okay, so he had the highest blitz rate of his career. I believe it was 68%. He has never been blitzed that much in his career, and he absolutely murdered them against the blitz. Go look at my Twitter page if you want, and you'll see the thread of him throwing against the blitz. I got the video clips up there if you want to take a look. And it's really impressive. And then the other thing was the tight coverage. He did not face that against the Dolphins because the Dolphins apparently don't know how to play defense and don't know you have to cover wide receivers. The Broncos did do that. And so the windows were tight. I mean, really tight in some cases. And you know what Daniel Jones did? He stepped in there and he threw the ball in those tight windows fearlessly. And he went after freaking Patrick Surtain, the defensive player of the year, like he was just some practice squad corner. I mean, I was stunned. I was stunned. It was that good. And I'm starting to think now, like, if this is who he is and he's going to play with this kind of confidence, well, then I don't know. What? Maybe McAfee's right. Maybe they are going to win the Super Bowl. I don't know.
Here's what's crazy about it is I think we all felt he was going to be a game manager, and he has certainly managed the game. I gave him credit to you last week because he came out against Miami, and they're dog crap. There's no doubt about that. But he came out against them, and you know that first pick or bad throw you're going to make, you're probably going to hear it. But it didn't matter. He still is gunslinging. He's going down the field. We thought that Alec Pierce was going to be somebody that was not going to have a place in this offense. Clearly he has, because he has adjusted. Jones has adjusted. It has been, to me, through 2 weeks, as perfect at that position as compared to how awful that position has been. It's represented over so many years with this organization in the past.
I couldn't agree more. And look, I'm not saying every week's going to look like this. It probably won't. But I thought this was a huge test. He passed it with flying colors, and actually was more productive. And let's put this in perspective. You talk about quarterback play in recent years here, and it has been tough, right? There's no question. I would say here's a couple things to keep in mind. It's only 2 games. I understand that. But it's more than just the fact that they scored on their first 10 possessions. They haven't punted, all that. A couple things. Yards per attempt for Daniel Jones, off the charts. 9.3 yards per attempt. This is a super efficient offense right now. This isn't like just a bunch of big plays and then they go have a sort of stagnant for a while. No, this is consistently moving the ball, consistently. The other thing, yards per play, 6.5 yards per play. That is tied with the Baltimore freaking Ravens for number 1 in the NFL right now. All right, that's what we're talking about. That's what they're doing. So they are in rare air right now, and this is another nerdy thing I know that maybe the data folks like to talk about, but it really does tell you something. Expected points added. Okay, that means That is basically efficiency. When you're on the field, you are making things happen. They are tied for second in the NFL right now. So going into the Monday night games. So there's no metric I can find that tells me this offense has problems. They are off the charts in everything, man. And so I don't know how long it's going to last, but what you're seeing is starting to look real.
Well, those are drunk stats, but what the hell's going on in the red zone? And you're still scoring,
yeah,
but you're not scoring at a clip in which you need to. If there is one major adjustment, or maybe better put, one major flaw offensively, that to this point would be it.
Yeah, I agree. I think those two missed chances yesterday, I thought that was the ball game. No, frankly, there were three, I think, where they kicked field goals. 3 chances inside the red zone. On 2 of them, I think they might have been inside the 10, or at least at the 10-yard line or more. And so that can't happen. And that was just an execution thing. I mean, on one of them, Daniel Jones missed a throw. There was, maybe an interference call that should have been flagged, I thought, early on. I mean, if you're going to call the ones the Colts got called for, you probably should call that too. At least the first one against Xavier and Howard, the one where Steichen got the unsportsmanlike penalty. I thought that was a tough call. Now, the others, I'm not going to defend. But my point is, I think the Broncos got away with a couple 50-50 calls there, one of which might have been a touchdown. And then, just it's a really execution thing, I thought, really, in the red zone. I think they're going to figure that out. They have too many options to be getting stops like that, When you talk about Tyler Warren and Jonathan Taylor, and I mean, I don't know. I thought they could have ran a little better down in the red zone too. I think I trust them to get that figured out, but those are the plays that win and lose games. Okay, do you convert when you have the opportunity? Because you're not going to move the ball like that every game and have so many opportunities. There are going to be games where your opportunities are limited. You have to capitalize. No question about it. Fair criticism. They got to figure it out.
It's Stephen Holder of ESPN on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Can there be a parallel made to Lou Anarumo's latter years and then dismissal in Cincinnati and his lack of players that he had when he was good and they were good in those early years, and compare that at all to what we witnessed yesterday? No Latu, no Mooney. That defense brought some remnants, and unfortunately the bad memories of a Bradley, of an Eberflus type of era. Was that more about the lack of players, or do you think maybe they start down this defensive path whatsoever? What'd you make of week 2 in that instant analysis?
Well, the Mooney Ward situation, I think, was definitely hurtful. Definitely a problem. I mean, if you think about it, in week 1, look at how deep he went into the bag of tricks, right? Did you notice just how aggressive he was with the different coverages?
And you were feeling it. You were feeling it against Tua in week 1. You weren't feeling it yesterday.
Right. And he was not as deep into the bag of tricks yesterday, perhaps because he didn't feel like he could do that, And that's kind of what I'm getting at, because if you don't have that consistent pressure, and if you don't have that lockdown corner, you don't have as much versatility, or as much freedom, I guess, to be aggressive with your defensive play calling. So I think there's an argument for what you're saying, that maybe he couldn't call the game the way he otherwise would have if he had all his guys. I thought those were the 2 worst potential absences they could have had, just because they don't have anybody who can consistently get pressure. I think they can get pressure, but can be counted on to do it consistently and just organically get pressure. That's Latu. Latu's that guy. And then in the secondary, when you talk about being out there on the perimeter, the guy is Mooney, and he wasn't out there. So I mean, you talk about the 2 worst guys you could be missing on defense. They were both missing in the same game, unfortunately.
So if they were not injury-riddled in that secondary right now, and I know he spoke in front of the media, which was odd today, would Xavier Howard be gone long ago after yesterday?
This is mean, but I'll say it. I saw Darius Butler at the game yesterday, and I told him, I said, I had Antonio Cromartie vibes there for a moment. Do you know what I'm talking about there?
Oh, yeah.
You remember that? The London game in 2016, I saw.
Because he went to France. Remember, he reportedly went to France or Paris or something like that during the week leading up to. I don't know if that was ever solidified, but that was the rumor, yes.
Yeah, I can't speak on that part, but I will tell you that, I mean, that was maybe the worst 5 or 6 snaps in a row I've ever seen from a cornerback in NFL history. And so, but he was out there. He was out there because everybody was hurt. I think Vontae Davis, I think, was still on the team then, if I recall. May he rest in peace. Darius Butler was hurt that game. They had like 3 or 4 guys, banged up. So they signed Antonio Cromartie to go out there and play the Jags in London. I'm getting off the subject. The point is, this felt like that one series where Howard was just getting targeted over and over and over. It felt like that. But he said, look, I expected it. I haven't played for a year. I knew at some point a team would come after me. Why the Dolphins didn't do that, I have no idea. You have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I would test him every single play. It didn't seem like they did. I don't remember really seeing him having to mix things up. Well, the Broncos, they figured, well, we're going to find out. And it was a little rough. Look, when he's out there on an island, that's not a great place to be. So they definitely need to think about what their options are. But I don't know that they have great options. Jalen Jones being hurt really kind of put them in a tough spot. But they may have to look at a couple of the young guys that they do have, maybe Blackman, who I thought, I think there's something there with Blackman, who they traded for from Minnesota. So I don't know. We'll see if they mix that up this week in practice.
In closing, a chance to go 3-0 on the road in Nashville next weekend. Cam Ward in the first 2 weeks kind of reminds me a bit of Richardson, meaning that you can see the explosion and big play capability, but he does suffer the consequences of not doing or making the layups. That's how Richardson has been described. And through the first 2 weeks, I think Ward has kind of looked the same in that capacity. What can be said about the rookie from Miami in week 3?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is that boom or bust sort of parallel there a little bit. Now he's not as the disparity isn't as much with Cam as it is with Anthony, for sure, right? Cam Ward is a more consistent passer. That is true. But there is some of that with him, and I watched him at Miami. I'm as an alum, obviously, and he can be a little all over the place, and sometimes he gets a little bit of cowboy in him, and I think the Colts have to use it against him. Frankly, they have to use his superpowers against him and force him into trying to make those hero plays, because they're tougher to make at this level, to be completely honest. So he made one yesterday. That was spectacular, but it was also one of those plays where you go, no, yes. So most of the time that play is not going to work out for you, where you're rolling to the right sideline and throwing the ball to the opposite sideline for a touchdown. I mean, no one's drawing that play up. But look, the kid's talented. He doesn't have enough help, and the Colts are going to have to. They're going to have to try to make him or put him in tough positions to make him have to make those tough plays, because you won't be able to make enough of them, generally speaking, against a decent NFL defense. So we'll see how it goes.
Goodwill will unravel, and not the place, but the goodwill with the fan base here will unravel if you lose in week 3 to that team after going 2-0 on the first 2. That's just kind of the nature of the business. Yeah. Stephen Holder of ESPN, ESPN.com, is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Fantastic to see you yesterday, and we'll fire up this conversation and see where the squad is coming up next week at this time. Stephen, thank you.
Yep, big game. Expectations have risen. So
yes, they have. I'm here for it, too. Thanks, Stephen. Stephen Holder of ESPN on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I was thinking about some of the highlights for me yesterday. Now, I'm no Nick Sirianni guy, but watching the Chiefs go to 0-2 and everybody pout and whine and look mean and mad in Kansas City in that toilet of a stadium makes me laugh. All right, what else? Oh, yeah, Aaron Rodgers is 18 of 33 for 203 and 2 picks. That's pretty funny. Seahawks went on the road at Pittsburgh. The Jets continue to be a disaster. That's funny. Man, Ben Johnson, his return to the Lions, not good. 52 points given up. The Bears are a mess at 0-2. The Giants 0-2. Joe Burrow done until what, December maybe? With turf toe. So are they going to go get Jameis Winston? The Bengals?
Well, I've seen that. Kirk Cousins is still out there.
Jake Browning's still there, right? Is he the backup?
Yeah, he's the backup.
Does he have the girlfriend that's nearly naked in pictures all the time?
I do
before the
not
game?
know. I'll have to do some research.
I think you better Google Jake Browning's girlfriend nearly naked at games. I don't think it'll come up. It may come up. I don't know.
Well, the first thing that popped up was Jake Browning girlfriend bikini. So
that
could be it.
Not nearly naked at games, though. Jake Browning, girlfriend nearly naked at games. Hey, Jeremiah, in closing, before we hit this break and come back with your calls to close out the show, writes this. Could Indy sports be any better than this so far this year? Pacers NBA Finals, Fever make the playoff. With Fever, the injury disappointment. That's what you want to stay away from the injury stuff, because remember, until further notice, we are still around here the Indiana injuries. Stay away from that. It has been enjoyable, Jeremiah, to say the least. Anything come up?
I didn't see anything of her in a bikini at a game, but she was wearing some pretty revealing white bodysuit type thing.
Revealing white bodysuit. True story. And that's the Cincinnati situation. Speaking of schlep rock fan bases and teams, another reason to be that. Double dip Monday Night Football tonight. We'll get to that and your calls coming up on the other side. The stream, the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Stay right there. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Banana in the tailpipe.
You're not gonna fall for the banana in the tailpipe?
It should be more natural, brother. It should flow out like this. Look, man, I ain't falling for no banana in my tailpipe.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
What is this, a trench coat convention? What the hell's going on?
We're on a corner.
Well, who are you guys? Come on, what the hell's going on here?
You had a break-in, Mr. Sykes.
I sure hell hope you're a cop.
Now, I'm Samuel Gerard, United States Marshal's Office.
Let's be honest, JMV, the Colts had less of a chance of hitting that 60-yard field goal than Frederick Sykes does of hitting a two-handed backhand in tennis. You're going to love that. You had a break-in, Mr. Sykes. You know, as much as I love the 93 classic, The Fugitive, with Tommy Lee Jones and Harrison Ford, I often have to wonder how in the world did the police in Chicago not wrap that up with the one-armed man being the murderer? There's your one-armed man. There he is. You had a break-in, Mr. Sykes. Toby writes this, celebrating my 40th in Nashville this weekend for the game. Let's get boozed up and go 3-0. I love getting boozed up and going 3-0. I do. Thank you for saying that, too. Hey, JMV, this is Heather in Center Grove. So glad the Colts won, but those play calls on the last drive felt like Steichen thought it was a tie game. Not that he wanted to drive for a winning field goal. Thankful the refs actually called the leverage play instead of swallowing their whistles like they did earlier in the game. Shout out to Heather in Center Grove. Laney had surgery at my surgery center a few years ago, and I wheeled her out. That's my Laney. Laney Lou. Thank you, Heather. Very kind. Love the Laney Lou. JMV. While we're enjoying our teams, the Indy Indians just had their best home record ever at Victory Field, 50-25, 82-61 overall. Came up short in the postseason, but a really nice season. Eric in Pendleton. Eric, thank you very much. JMV, I'm not defending Shane Steichen, but the only reason I see for Shane calling the plays as he did was to not throw an interception. And wow. While I would tend to most of the time agree with you, I don't feel, or at least didn't feel yesterday or so far this season, that you have to put a protective bubble around Daniel Jones. Dave Hammering, Greenwood, go Colts, and those stinking, they're the Reds. Good Lord, what a mess. JMV, I think the issue on the last series was bad running play. Shane Steichen needs better running plays. He needs to contact Eric Moore at Center Grove High School. We love Coach Moore for some good plays. Moore had been running that old school offense, and few teams have really stopped them in 25 years. Mark in Burgersville. JMV, your weight loss has inspired so many people. Knowing you for 20-plus years as a personal trainer, I'm proud of you, man. Let's take it to another level and come train with me down at CGX in Burgersville. John Martin, I am becoming ripped, John Martin. Trying my damnedest. I mentioned this. Edgerrin James had told me, put a barbell in your bedroom floor, and every time you pass it, do a set of 12. That's what I do. So, and I pass it all the time, daily. And shout out to the Hall of Famer, Edgerrin James, for that knowledge. Let's go. Doug's at 239-1070. Doug's been on hold the longest right here. Doug, go ahead. How are you? Hello, Doug. Doug, you've been on hold way too long for me not to get you on the air here, brother. Are you there? Doug. Doug has come and gone. Andy's been now second longest on hold today. Hello, Andy.
Hey, JMV, how you doing?
Andy, I'm great.
Okay, here's what I wanted to tell you.
Yes.
There were 14 games counting Thursday up to Sunday, and I heard 12 of them mention Charlie Kirk. Respectfully, And I heard the Colts, there was not a word murmured at the game about Charlie Kirk. The NFL said something, so I think it's a shame that the Colts would not have mentioned a semi-national figure like Charlie Kirk. He's known worldwide, really. Regardless of your politics, he was slaughtered, on TV. He's online right now. We saw it. We saw George Floyd get killed, and in racism, I get that. They did that, and I can't believe the Colts did not mention him, unless I'm wrong. That's what I heard, and there were some people there that were upset
Andy,
about that.
I was in the press box, and I have a zero. Plus, I was doing the pregame show. I have zero idea what they did and what they're doing and what they're doing in operation. So, simply put, I have no idea. And honestly, I've never really brought any of that into this forum, and I'm not likely to bring any of that. With all due respect to everybody's views and what you think, and I am very unlikely to bring any form of that here, with respect. Here's hoping that you understand, because you have a lot of opportunity. I have two good friends across the hall that I meet with every single day here in Hammer and Nigel that can certainly talk that up much better, much more educated than I can. But I host a pregame show, and I was in the press, but I have no idea what they're doing in game operation. Respectfully. All right, 239-1070. Back to Jerry. Give me Jerry on line 2 next. Hello, Jerry. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
Jerry, I'm outstanding. Thank you for the call.
Well, last time we talked, we were talking about chicken wings during the Pacers.
Why don't we? We should.
But anyway, there actually is a party in Nashville this coming weekend. The Blue Crew is headed on 2 buses Saturday morning.
Where are you guys staked out?
We're going to be staked out. Saturday night, we're going to a happy hour at Lucky Bastards on Broadway.
Cool. Is that Lucky Bastards?
We'll be on the second floor.
Sure.
Starting at about 5:30, and then Sunday I'll have to text you the address. There's a big open parking lot that we go to that the buses come in and park. We're about maybe 3/4 of a mile from the stadium. So we'll have the buses there. We'll have canopy set up. The guys are bringing grills and food. So there'll be plenty of food. So if you're not on the bus.
Were you guys there yesterday in the parking lot?
Oh, yeah.
Because I just mentioned to the last caller that I do the pregame show. I was doing the pregame show in Touchdown Town, and I couldn't get a beer until like 1 o'clock. Next time I'm going to come by and grab a beer. So I was in need of a beer yesterday.
We're not allowed to carry in, but the people that are actually parking in the parking lots there, they've got parking spots. They bring everything in. So you come over by the Randy Collins has got the fire truck.
I know Randy. I know Randy really well. Could you guys get me a solid keg stand before I go on? Because I'm always much better, all boozed up.
I'll talk to. I know one of the higher ups there. He's a good friend of mine that, like the president of Blue Crew. So you have to come to the right by the fire truck where it's set up for the horseshoe.
So I'm going to send Dorothy. I'm going to send Dorothy to Lucky Bastards. Then is that where you're going?
Well, Saturday night.
Yeah.
Saturday night. Okay. Starting at 5:30, we'll be at Lucky Bastards on the second floor.
Okay, I just wanted to say that Sunday, like 5 more times because I want to giggle. So, yeah. Well, thank you, Jerry, for the call. Dorothy sent me a note and said, hey, is Bullseye having a party down there? I have since found out that Bullseye is not having a party down there. Hey, look, my mom's calling right here. I've only done this show till 6 o'clock for 25 years. Anyway, Bullseye is not having a party down there, but Dorothy, you can follow the advice of my friend and caller, Jerry, if you want to head down for week number 3, and for anybody else that's heading down for week 3 in Nashville coming up on Sunday, or this weekend, matter of fact, but obviously tailgating on Sunday. Quick break. We shall return. What's at the top of the hour? Colts show?
Colts Roundtable.
Oh,
and
Colts Roundtable.
We also will have some Machine Gun Kelly tickets to give out as well.
We do. I think he goes by
MGK or something.
MGK now? Is he married or his girlfriend? Who's that?
He was with Megan Fox, and I think they have a kid together, but I don't think they are together anymore.
Is she still spectacularly smoketified?
She's still pretty good looking.
Yeah, she's probably not going to lose that anytime soon, right? MGK. I've got tickets for you. Oh boy. Here we go. See, I'm going to start playing these messages. This is what I just get. Jake just said that Megan Fox has 2 thumbs.
She has what?
Toe thumbs.
Toe thumbs.
I have 2 thumbs too. Toe thumbs.
I don't know if I've ever paid that much attention to her hands.
G Mama says, in a very odd text, I think she left a message here, a pet, I couldn't believe it, but anyway, I'll talk to you later. Anybody like to translate that? One more time, a pet, I couldn't believe it, but anyway, I'll talk to you later. What in the hell does that mean?
Your guess is as good as mine.
We shall find out from the glorious G Mama, who, by the way, turns 80 and is a tremendous fan, as we know, of Obi Toppin, Obi's biggest, and loves Cam Bynum as well. And I think they both are very similar in just being great for this market and great for their teams here. And oddly enough, both inside Lucas Oil Stadium yesterday. Quick break. We'll come back. Tickets to give away and more. We'll close out the show with you next.
Mum is the word.
Suddenly, but
Mum.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Win Schuler's spreadability. Make sure you tell me where you find it. I believe the Avon and Meyer, check that. The Meyer Avon has Win Schuler's spreadability. Original sharp cheddar, bacon and cheddar, and jalapeno pepper. The spreadability for 2025 of the football season, and all your snacking with the spreadability of Win Schuler's. When you find it, send me a picture on the social media platform X so I can tell everybody where you can pick up the greatness of Win Schuler's. MGK, June of next year. That a rue off to? Number 9 at 239-1070. You can get your plans made for June of next year. I think that Machine Gun Kelly, who goes by MGK now, did a pop-up show back in August around here, did he not? And I also believe that he was in, what was the Motley Crue documentary that was on Netflix years ago? It was right up my alley. It was a lot of music and had a lot of nudity in it. And I go, oh, hell, I got to watch that. But I think he played Tommy Lee in that.
I believe it was called The Dirt.
The Dirt. I like The Dirt. Speaking of which, I'm going to go watch the Charlie Sheen one here very soon, too. JMV, I cannot believe that you hang out with the guys that cross the... Actually, for one, I don't let politics nor the differing of opinions get in the way of friendships in my life. I've never been that way. Thus, Hammer and Nigel have been friends of mine for a long time, and I like them a great deal. So that's just me. You may operate differently. I don't operate that way. But that's the way that it is. But I also don't operate. I'll let them handle the news and the politics. They're really good at that, and I am not. And we also have this similarity. I think we all like drinking. So, yes. There's that similarity, too. Stephen Holder, podcast 1075thefan.com. You guys have been outstanding today. Hey, keep things going. 317-239-1070 with the text line. We'll get back to you and your calls tomorrow, a full day of it. We've got IU Illinois to talk about this week, Purdue Notre Dame, and Fever postseason, along with the Colts tomorrow at 3. Colts Roundtable straight at you. Next.